Millions of years ago, the Colorado River carved its way through solid rock, cutting what is known today as the Glenwood Canyon. The force of the river, the depth of the canyon, the sheer massiveness of the rock all testify to nature's miraculous strength and majestic power. Nature was here first, by herself. Then came the railroads, and soon after, the highway. But construction methods of those times, and in the cramped confines of the canyon, left it badly scarred. Furthermore, with steadily increasing traffic volume and speed, there was concern about the safety of the two-lane roadway. All indications were it was time for a better roadway. Today, another passageway is being constructed, and this time, many precautions are being taken to minimize the impact of man in Glenwood Canyon. In the midst of much controversy and protest, a plan for the construction of a high-volume interstate quality roadway was approved by state and local authorities. The Colorado Department of Transportation devised a plan for reconstruction of the highway that would have to maneuver through a canyon with hardly room for the river that carved it.
The thing about the canyon was that it was very controversial. We weren't sure whether we wanted to go through the canyon or over Cottonwood Pass at the time. But after much citizen participation, which was kind of heavy at times, a lot of infighting and such things as that, we finally came to the conclusion that it should go through the canyon. But Senate Joint Resolution number 16, which was put out to the legislature in February of 1968, mandated that we design a highway, or that the Colorado Highway Department put a highway through that was environmentally sensitive and also would take care of the traffic, which is very important in the interstate. So that's what we ended up doing.
There were a number of constraints. The finished work had to integrate with the natural setting. Stringent requirements for the protection of the fragile mountain environment had to be followed, or there would be fines. The construction plan itself called for 17 miles of 4-lane divided highway, more than 30 bridges, miles of retaining walls, recreational access to and from the river inside canyons, and the restoration of some of the scars left behind from the past. Additionally, the flow of traffic along I-70 had to be maintained throughout the entire time of construction. And how long was construction expected to last? 10 to 15 years. The contractors that performed in this environment would have to be resourceful, strong-willed, and respectful of nature herself. Flatiron Structures Company was awarded many of the most difficult projects for those very reasons. In fact, they were awarded about 40% of the construction contracts. Inventive in their approach to construction, Flatiron was able to place highly competitive bids and approach projects in new and creative ways. To protect the environment, some bridges had to be built without ground-level access, except at the pier supports. In other words, they were built from the top down. This method of bridge building required technology new to the United States. The confines of the canyon and the construction timetable required fabrication of the elevated viaducts off-site in precast segments. These segments were then shipped into the canyon and assembled on-site. To save time, money, and minimize traffic delays, the bridge segments were fabricated a few miles away and then trucked in as required. A match casting technique was utilized to provide the exacting fit required for structural integrity of the finished product. Each individual piece, weighing as much as 60 tons, formed one side of the next piece as it was poured. Sophisticated surveying equipment and a computer program in the casting yard assured perfect shape, radius, and fit. No two segments were identical. They were constructed in the casting yard, simulating the exact geometry of the in-place structure, disassembled for transit, and then reassembled in their final position. The result is an architecturally appealing structure of perfectly matched individual segments. Assembling the segments also took specialized techniques. In Europe, Flatiron located a self-launching gantry. The gantry enabled the placement of the individual segments from already assembled viaducts. It rides on the bridge deck that is in place and works to erect the structure piece by piece. One end of the gantry is adjustable so that it can accommodate the curved roadway. Viaduct spans of 300 feet could be assembled without ever touching the ground below. As a result, complex segments of viaduct were assembled with minimal intrusion of support structures, and the vegetation underneath was protected. This technique also made it possible to build bridges safely over traffic. Additionally, Flatiron obtained an erection truss developed for the construction of the MARTA Rapid Transit Line in Atlanta. With the truss, spans of viaduct up to 130 feet in length could be assembled by bringing in the components over previously completed bridges. Again, this meant the environment was not disturbed below the structures. In addition to the roads and bridges, a pair of tunnels were constructed midway through the canyon. On this project, Flatiron was selected to build a 30,000 cubic yard reinforced concrete structure to eventually be hidden underground and landscaped. Upon its completion, this hidden 4-story building will house tunnel support facilities and office space, and will be so thoroughly integrated into the surrounding terrain, onlookers will hardly notice it. Just one more way the project's designers mixed innovation with nature and technology with imagination.
The Glenwood Canyon project provided a tremendous opportunity for Flatiron Structures Company. The challenges of the project were many. They included environmental sensitivity and traffic that had to be passed through the project 24 hours a day. This was all done on a fixed price basis, which is unusual on a contract of this risk in the United States. This allowed us the opportunity to innovate and empower our key people to make the decisions in the field that needed to be made to make this project a success. This allowed us to build the road the way the people of Colorado wanted this road built.
There are hundreds of men and women who worked on the project in one capacity or another to see that Glenwood Canyon got its highway, kept its beauty, and remained accessible to all of the drivers who still had to get through the canyon.
I'll be here for approximately 25 to 30 minutes, and for your own safety, we ask you to please stay away from the guardrail. Thank you.
Sometimes maintaining an acceptable flow of traffic was difficult, especially during commuter hours. But most people were understanding.
I think they're doing the best they can with what they have to work with, you bet. And I've been to here years earlier when I have been real close to some head-on collisions where people were killed. And this will help a lot of this. It'll make this a lot safer canyon.
Some even went out of their way just to look at the construction.
We were sitting over at Winter Park, and we came over here specifically to see this. My friend, he's been by here 2 or 3 times before and wanted to show it to me.
But with basic cooperation and planning, things kept moving. And generally speaking, most people were and continued to be surprised by the magnitude of the construction project. When they see the gantry, when they drive along the completed French Creek Viaduct and see how masterfully it blends into the setting, when they learn of the painstaking precautions taken to ensure protection of the environment, they are impressed with the results.
I think it's going to be a prototype. I think the whole design procedure of designing a sensitive highway will be followed by people and companies all over the world from year to year in the future. It was a tough job, but it was a good job, and I want to pat them on the back. They did it good.